Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. And Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. And Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Paramahansa Bhattacharya Ashtotar that Sri Srimada's Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnubhad Paramahansa Bhattacharya Ashtotar that Sri Srimada's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Just a note for those who are following the BBT calendar. I think this is also going out on internet land a little bit. We're very sorry. On the BBT calendar, it says today is the appearance day of Srivas Thakur, but it's actually Monday. We made a mistake. And there'll be a few more during the year. We're very sorry about that. Happens sometimes. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jai Madiri. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtaprayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktim Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 18th day of March 2017 in Los Angeles, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We're in Canto 10, the Summum Bonum, Chapter 11, the childhood pastimes of Krishna. Text number 7. Gopi bistobito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bistobito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat. Ladies? Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho daruyantravat Gopi bhistobhito nrityad Bhagavan balavat kvachit Udgayati kvachin mugdhas Tadvasho Gopi bhi by the gopis, by flattery and offers of prizes. Stobitaha, encouraged, induced. Anrityat, the small Krishna danced. Bhagavan, although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Balavat, exactly like a human child. Kvachit, sometimes. Udgayati, he would sing very loudly. Kvachit, sometimes. Mugdaha, being amazed. Tatvashaha, under their control. Daruyantravat, like a wooden doll. Translation. The gopis would say, if you dance, my dear Krishna, then I shall give you half a sweetmeat. By saying these words or by clapping their hands, all the gopis encouraged Krishna in different ways. At such times, although he was the supremely powerful personality of Godhead, he would smile and dance according to their desire, as if he were a wooden doll in their hands. Sometimes he would sing very loudly at their bidding. In this way, Krishna came completely under the control of the gopis. No purport. We'll read another one. Can we pray? All right. Let's see if we can do it. Can we do it? Can we do it? Ah. Bibharti kvachadagyapta pitakon manapadukam bahuchepam chakurute svanam cha pritamavaham. Sometimes Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends would tell Krishna, bring this article, bring that article. Sometimes they would order him to bring a wooden plank, wooden shoes, or a wooden measuring pot. And Krishna, when thus ordered by the mothers, would try to bring them. Sometimes, however, as if unable to raise these things, he would touch them and stand there. Just to invite the pleasure of his relatives, he would strike his body with his arms to show that he had sufficient strength. Text 9. Darshayang stadvidam loka atmano vrityavashyatam vajasyo vahavai harsham bhagavan bala chestitahi. To pure devotees throughout the world who could understand his activities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, exhibited how much he can be subdued by his devotees, his servants. In this way, he increased the pleasure of the Brijvasis by his childhood activities. Purport. That Krishna performed childhood activities to increase the pleasure of his devotees was another transcendental humor. He exhibited these activities not only to the inhabitants of Vrajabhumi, but also to others who were captivated by his external potency and opulence. Both the internal devotees, who were simply absorbed in love of Krishna, and the external devotees, who were captivated by his unlimited potency, were informed of Krishna's desire to be submissive to his servants. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So these are some of the most delightful pastimes of Krishna. Krishna is known as Krishna because he's all attractive. The word Krishna means to attract. And Krishna is all attractive because he possesses all of the qualities that have been defined for God in full. This is a definition that's been given by the father of Vyasadeva named Parashara Muni. It says, Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashakshya jnana vairagyaschaiva shamnam bhaga itingana. So there's these six opulences beginning with Aishwarya. Now Aishwarya means wealth. It also means controlling power. So each of us has a minute bit of controlling power in our own world. And if we go higher, there are people in this world, the mayor, the governor, the president, who has more controlling power. And so you may say he has more Aishwarya. In terms of wealth, we know there's so many multi-billionaires now. And with that wealth, they can control. Strength, it comes in different ways. There's physical strength. There's also mental strength, sensory strength. These are variously given to us. We have our little bit of that. And Krishna has it to an unlimited degree. Yashashak, fame. Fame is also highly coveted. People want, famously, they want their 15 minutes of fame. But it's limited. I mean, people who were famous in 1950, who can name one of them? Maybe Elvis Presley. Was that before his time? But at that time, they were quite famous, but it fades. But God is always famous. Everyone knows that there's a God. They may not know the intricacies, the name, but Krishna is unlimitedly famous. Shriya, beauty. His beauty, Krishna manifests, especially in his Vrindavan Leela, which we are seeing here, is stunning. The gopis who love him the most, they are angry at Lord Brahma. Why? Because he created eyelids that we have to periodically blink and impede their constant vision of the beauty of Krishna. This is how much they're attracted and drinking in that nectarian beauty. Jnana, knowledge. Who can be more knowledgeable than God? He's known as omniscient, knowing everything, past, present, and future. Just to contemplate that omniscience, it takes your breath away. Who can imagine knowing everything that's happened in every atom, and what to speak in every heart and every year that's happened in the past, and that's happening now, and that will happen in the future. That's true omniscience. Jnana, Krishna has it unlimited. And then with all of this, we'll have time for questions later. With all of this, he's completely detached. Vairagya means he's not attached to being so beautiful and all of these different things. Whereas we are very much attached. We get a little older, we lose a little beauty. Oh my God, let me do some Botox to bring it back. Somehow bring the beauty back, right? But it doesn't work. Our beauty is very temporary, limited, and fleeting. But Krishna has this infinite beauty, but he's completely detached from everything. So this is another opulence. Now in these pastimes, these super sweet Braj Leela, childhood Leela, he's especially manifesting the opulence of beauty. Now beauty comes in many ways. Of course, there's what we call physical beauty, but there's also the beauty of the voice, for instance, the beauty of the personality, the beauty of the grace of movement. These are all different kinds of beauty. And Krishna has all of those. So now in this pastime that we're reading here, these are these sweet little pastimes where God, all-powerful God, the creator of everything, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, has covered all of that, and he's now manifesting this gentle little sweetness to attract the hearts of his intimate devotees, the elder gopis of Vrindavan, the mother gopis headed by Mother Yashoda. This is what's going on. Now, understanding that, it's actually inconceivable by our present brain. So I wanted to step back a bit, and try to trace how did we get here to this particular. But we're in the 10th canto now, which is the smiling face of Krishna. It's placed in the 10th canto rather than the first canto because the first 9 cantos give us a very detailed, exhaustive view of who God really is, what is our relationship, how does he manifest in this world in different forms, what is this material world. All of these things are dealt with in great detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first 10 cantos. And by the time, first 9 cantos, by the time we get to the 10th canto, we have no danger of thinking that this is an ordinary little boy, or when he grows up, he's just an ordinary lusty fellow who's going out to dance in the middle of the night with some beautiful girls. It's not like that. This is the Supreme Person who's doing this in a very special way, and a very special platform. So Krishna begins. Now we'll go back to the Bhagavad Gita, to the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita, because we have to start there in order to get here. So the first thing that Krishna explains to Arjuna, and of course the setting is, what could be a bigger contrast from this wonderful idyllic garden place of Vrindavan, where all of these sweet exchanges of love are taking place, to the battlefield, which, thousands and even millions of soldiers on each side, and there's the trumpeting of the elephants and the trumpeting of the conch shells, and it's all very serious and very dangerous. But Krishna is on the battlefield too. And that context, in that context, he speaks the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And he begins with the lesson on the soul, 20 verses on the soul. Who are we actually? And simply put, it says, we are pure consciousness rather than the body. The body is temporary, we are eternal. The body has a beginning and an end, birth and death. The soul doesn't. The body can be injured by weapons, very pertinent on a battlefield. The soul cannot. And so he actually chastises his disciple Arjuna at the beginning of his instructions. You're lamenting for this body, which is not lamentable, because the body is not the self. And in the context of this battle, which is overseen by Krishna and arranged by Krishna, anyone who dies there will achieve a better birth. In other words, it's all auspicious. Even all of the fighting and the pain and the blood is ultimately auspicious because it's under the direct supervision of Krishna. Now that's a little inconceivable to understand, but that's the argument he's giving to Arjuna. Arjuna is a devotee. He's covered over by Krishna's energy, bewildering energy. And suddenly he doesn't want to fight in this battle which has been building now for a long time and is necessary to reinstitute Dharma in the world. So Arjuna has cold feet, so to speak, because he's a compassionate Vaishnava. Even though he's the greatest warrior in the world, he's still a Vaishnava, which means he feels for others, especially those who he knows very, very well, who he reveres. In the person of his teacher, Dronacharya, who taught him all the martial arts, the grandfather of the whole dynasty, Bhishma Dev, who's revered by everybody. He doesn't want to see them killed. He certainly doesn't want to participate in seeing them die. And then he sees others on the other side. It's all a fratricidal war. Who he has relationship, either blood relationship or by marriage, his friends, his relatives. It's very frightening. Not that he'll be killed. A Kshatriya is ready to die on the battlefield. That they're trained for that. But that he will be instrumental in the death of his beloveds. That's what he wants to live. Forget it. I don't want the kingdom. Who cares about the kingdom? If I conquer this kingdom, he has all kinds of arguments in the first chapter. That it'll be soaked with the blood of those whom I love. How can I enjoy the kingdom? You see? Better that I just give it all up, drop the bow, take off the shield and everything, and just go to the forest and live by begging. That way. But Krishna's whole point, as he starts to speak, Arjuna surrenders to him as a disciple, rather than just a friend arguing back and forth. And Krishna immediately chastises, no, you have the wrong perspective. You're thinking on the bodily platform. And that's completely fallacious. And he begins to give a lesson on the soul and reincarnation, and which is essential, foundational for our spiritual quest. We should have in our life a spiritual quest to achieve perfection in this very lifetime. It can't be achieved on the bodily platform, on the physical platform, because any achievement we get on that platform is very, very temporary and fleeting, because the body itself is fleeting. But on the spiritual platform, there's a possibility of achieving perfection in this life. We have to know what that is and what is the method to achieve it. So, in those 20 verses, he describes, as I mentioned, the soul is inherently eternal, never born, never dies, and we're passing through this body. We're actually transmigrating as we live in this body. We often think of transmigration of the soul as from body to body, and that's true. But that's just a radical change. There are all these subtle, gradual changes as we go through this body. Where is our 10-year-old body? I don't think anyone is 10 years old here. We all had a 10-year-old body, a different one, smaller, right? Not only the external body, but our mind, which is part of the subtle body, is also different, right? It's all different. And 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, however high we want to go, whoever's in here. I may be the oldest one here. They're all gone. Well, I'm the same person. If I'm the same person and the body is completely changed, both gross and subtle, external and internal mind intelligence, what is the same? It can't be the body. It's just like we've had so many shirts during our life. The men have had pants or dhotis, the ladies have had saris or skirts, whatever. We don't identify with them, so why identify with this bodily dress? So this is Krishna also speaks like that. He uses that analogy. So understanding that we're pure spirit, that we are eternal, changes the whole calculation. Then we have to ask, well, what is the benefit? How can I achieve the benefit for myself as the soul, not just for the body, this temporary thing? And that opens up the whole question: is what is the soul intrinsically, and what is the relationship of the soul with the Supreme Soul? And Krishna explains that also in the Bhagavad Gita. And he knows better than anyone else who he is and what his qualities are, and therefore he, quote, chants his own glories, not out of ego, but to give us understanding and things to repeat and to meditate on. So in the 9th chapter, the 10th chapter, the 11th chapter, there's so many verses describing Krishna's intrinsic nature. And one of the most important, in the 10th chapter, many will know or experience in the reading Bhagavad Gita, there's 4 verses that are said to be like the core of the whole Bhagavad Gita. And in the first one, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya bhavavo mattak sarvam pavartate. First half of the verse. I have created everything, from me everything has come. This is a basic definition of the Supreme Absolute Truth. We turn to the Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of all the philosophy in little aphorisms. a Vedic philosophy. And the first the sutra is Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Being a human being, don't waste your time in sensual pursuits, but inquire into the absolute truth. What is that? Janmajasya yataha. That from which or from whom everything has come. The source of everything in this world. That's called Brahman, the great source of everything. And what is that Brahman? That's answered in this section by Arjuna after these 4 verses. Padam Brahma, Padam Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You, Krishna, are that supreme Brahman from which everything comes. And so Krishna goes on, those who understand that, they worship me with all their hearts. Those who are intelligent. Buddha Bhava Samanvita. How do they do it? Exactly like this. Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayantak Parasparam. They come together, my devotees, and they fix their minds on me, and then they talk about me, they glorify me. And that includes kirtan, by the way. That's especially in this age, that's the main way in which we hear and chant and absorb our minds in Krishna through his holy name. And what's the result? Parasparam katayantaschamam nityam tushyanti chadamanticha. From that glorification of me, from that sound vibration, Krishna is present in his sound vibration, beginning with his name, but also reading Bhagavatam. He's present here. They feel great satisfaction and bliss. Tushyanti ramanti. Tushyanti is satisfaction, deep satisfaction, spiritual satisfaction, and ramanti, literally to enjoy. Just like we have the name Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna is the supreme joy, the source of all spiritual pleasure. So, then what does Krishna do on his side? Tesham satadiyuktanam. To those who are always just glorifying me, who are serving me with great love, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. How does he give the intelligence? He explains in several places. He's in the heart. He's in every one of our hearts as the super soul. And he gives us the intelligence, how we can practice and how we can come to him. Out of compassion for them. Krishna loves us. He's concerned. He's more concerned about our destiny, our future, our welfare than we are, even. We don't know anything. So he's concerned. So he, out of his compassion, from inside the heart, he destroys the darkness of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. So this is like the greatness of Krishna. He's got to be omnipresent. He's in every one of our hearts. He's omniscient. He knows what we're doing at every moment. And he's omnipotent. He has the strength. He has various energies, material and spiritual, by which he can accomplish his goals. One of which is to save us, to try to bring us out of this prison house of the material world. Because when we identify with the body and its interests, gross or subtle, then we keep ourselves in this prison house, which is a place of suffering. Krishna says, 8th chapter, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. So we should aspire to understand and then to practice those means by which we can realize viscerally the truth of these matters. Now, how do we get from these basic points, and there's so many other things we could say about Krishna's glory, his power, how he controls everything, from that point to him being teased by the gopis and him dancing like a puppet in their hands? This is more esoteric knowledge. But this is why the conception of God, the absolute truth, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition especially, but in any Vaishnava tradition, but especially this one, because it deals with these higher relationships of God as a parent and a little child. Where do you read that in some other, even the Vaishnava literature is rare to find that. Is more esoteric. So the idea is that Krishna, we know that we want to enjoy, right? I mean, let's face it. We're enjoying beings. We're going to try to enjoy materially, or if we understand spiritually. But that's who we are. And there's nothing wrong in that. We can't give that up. Even the animals, everyone, they want to try to minimize distress and difficulty and enjoy happiness. It may be very crude in the lower species. Eating, mating, basically around those two, and then the other aspects, inevitably because you have a body, fearing danger, and when you get tired with all of this eating, fearing, and mating, sleep. And then you come back again the next day to do it. This is material life. We also do those things. But that can never be a platform of ultimate happiness or security, because it's all on the bodily platform, and the body must come to an end. And before it comes to an end, it often gives a lot of pain and sickness. You can't avoid it. So Krishna is teaching us in the Bhagavad Gita and in his intimate Leela also that there is a whole other realm of existence, which is our real home. How many times, I think I searched it once time in the database, did Prabhupada say, going back home, back to Godhead? I think it's over 600 times he used that phrase. Very pregnant phrase. Back home means that this is where we belong. We're all exiles here. This is not our real home. We try to find a place here, we get an apartment, we buy a house if we can, whatever. Now I have a home. But how long can you stay in that home or apartment? The real home we have here is this body itself, but it's very temporary. We all get evicted at one point, right? And that's a very painful situation. So, Krishna isn't Krishna. Why are we enjoyers? Because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. As I said, my father used to tell me, "You're a chip off the old block." You know, a child often has the qualities of the parents. You know, like that. So you like this, I like it also. You're a chip off the old block. So that Prabhupada used the word part and parcel, not chip, but it's the same idea. We all have Krishna's qualities in minute degree, because we're also divine. The soul is by nature divine, but we've lost our divinity or lost our consciousness of our divinity because we're very minute. We're infinitesimal. It's said that the soul is smaller than the atom, you know, although it's very powerful compared to anything material. But because we're minute, we have the unfortunate tendency to be covered by the external material energy, unconscious energy. That's not spiritual. And therefore, we forget our spiritual nature and we identify as matter. And you can see how much problem that causes. You know, you have a darker skin than me, therefore you're alien to me, and I'll explain, you know, like that. You speak a different language, you're poorer, I'm part of the rich class, you're poor. You see all that? That's all completely based on ignorance. You know, when you come to the point of seeing that everyone is a soul, you see, everyone is part and parcel of God. We're all brothers and sisters. Krishna is the Supreme Father. And if I am experiencing something by Krishna consciousness, and I've gotten some relief, I've gotten some spiritual pleasure, why shouldn't I want to give it out to my brothers and sisters who haven't experienced it? This is the basic principle of what we call preaching or spreading Krishna consciousness. We all have the same Father, we all have the same access and right to that reservoir of pleasure that is Krishna consciousness. And experiencing it and giving it is the essence of this whole movement. You know, learn it, live it, and give it. This is my new little mantra. Learn it, live it, and give it. This is actually the quality of the Acharya. Learn about it, study the Shastra, the scripture, live it, become a practitioner, and having experienced it, give it out. So, now, Krishna is an enjoyer. What does he want to enjoy? He can't enjoy anything material. He's spiritual. He's beyond all that. Remember, he's vairagya. He's completely detached. We'll come up on it. So, what does he enjoy? What we really enjoy. Loving exchange. Isn't there a phrase, you know, love makes the world go round, right? Without love, can you imagine it? Everyone just enjoying some sensual pleasure without interacting with other beings? If you don't have someone to love or to love you, you get some pet, right? And a strong bond comes. They have pet cemeteries. You know, they'll leave their penthouses to the pet, to the dog. You know, it happens. Some rasa. It's called rasa. Now, Krishna lives for rasa. I read this morning that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our great acharyas, we have so much knowledge coming down from him, descendant from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says that the essence, the final word of all the Shastra, everything that we're reading, Bhagavatam, Gita, everything, is this phrase from the Taittiriya Upanishad, Raso Vaisa. Raso Vaisa means he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, consists of, or his essential nature is rasa, relationship. Because Prabhupada said that we can learn a lot about God, the Supreme Personality, by contemplating ourselves. You see? And so, suppose you were God. Okay, just imagine. I'm going to be offensive. We're not going to think that we're God, but just imagine for a minute. What would you do? You know? Oh, okay, everyone's my servant. Cool, you know, bring me this, bring me that, bring me this. But that gets old, you know, because that rasa is really a demonic rasa. It's in the lower modes of nature, to be a controller, an exploiter, and a dominator over others. That's not where real love lies. There's certainly no love there, you know. So Krishna, he wants to experience this loving exchange that we also experience, just as a parental ras. Prabhupada said this is the most clear manifestation in this world of a relation with Krishna. The mother as the child is completely dependent on the mother. There's a very strong bond there. The mother feels, boundless love for this child, will actually sacrifice her life for the welfare of the child. As concerned at every moment that the child is happy and healthy and well fed, right? And when they get mobile, there's a whole ocean of anxiety. Is he running? Where is he going? Are you watching him? Right? There's all of that meditation on the child, because there's a very strong bond of love there. Now, it's temporary. As the kid grows older and older, the kid breaks away from that. But still, the mother, I had experience with my own mother. She's passed away now about over 10 years, but she lived to 96. And I would visit her when she was in her 80s. I would go see her. And still she's seeing me, can I give you something to eat? Are you warm enough? In other words, she's still seeing me like that. And we see in Krishna Lila that same thing happen. He's got 16,108 queens. He's got 10 children by each one. He's a great prince now. And then after all those years, which is 100 years, but he still looks like a 21-year-old. And then he goes and he visits all the residents of Vrindavan at Kurukshetra, at the sun eclipse, right? And there's a reunion with his parents and with the gopis and everyone else. What happens? Mother Yashoda finally sees Krishna, brings him into the tent alone, puts him on her lap, and is bathing him in tears, and sees him just like the little child that he was. Still, that rasa is not broken. You see? Now, so Krishna his enjoyment is in covering his majesty, covering his omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence, so that those who want to serve him, who want to love him as parents or as friends or as lovers, can relate to him in an equal way. And that's what we're seeing here. He's covered all his magnificence. He can't even speak properly, And he's, but the older gopis, Mother Yashoda and all the others, are loving him like anything. And so he's responding to their wish. He's bringing things, like we read, if Mother Yashoda has to bring something. Sometimes it's too heavy. Here's the same a person who a few years later, like 2 years later, will lift up Govardhan Hill weighing unlimited tons, right? Who's created the whole universe, but now he can't lift something this heavy. And so he puts his hands on it. And, he just looks at them, right? Because he wants to follow their instruction of bringing it, but he can't, Or he plays it being powerful, he hits his hand, like a wrestler. I'm so strong, but I can't lift these shoes, they're a little too heavy. In other words, he's evoking this mood of love from the gopis. It's the elder gopis now. It's not even any men involved. And so he's enjoying, like anything, their expression of love, which they wouldn't have if he shows the universal form, or some magnificent, all-devouring time form, like he does in the 11th chapter. So all of that is covered. This is part of the tattva of Krishna. That's why, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he gave us 10 points of philosophy that summarized Lord Chaitanya's philosophy and the foundation of everything we understand, he describes Amnayak Prahatatvam Hadamiha Padamangsa Vishaktim Vrishabdim. He's describing in that one line who is God. And so how can we know first? Everything depends on the ability to know. We have to have by the right means. Just figuring it out with our intelligence, speculating philosophically, or trying to investigate scientifically with the senses is not going to work. We have to hear from realized source, which has been recorded in what we call scripture or shastra, one of which is Bhagavad Purana, and the other Bhagavad Gita, and there's others that we recognize, Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in those lines. So that's Amnaya. The Amnaya, the Vedic literature, declares Hadamiha Paramam, which means Krishna is God. This is the foundation of this movement. We're worshiping the Supreme Personality. But what about him? Is it Hadamiya Sarva Shaktim? He has all of these different energies. Then we have to learn what they are. There's so many subject matters. There's three divisions, the internal energy, the external energy, and the marginal energy. We ourselves are marginal. Means like we're close to the beach here. Where I live in San Diego, I'm really close to the beach, like 2 or 3 blocks. So anyone who goes to the beach, you know that, the tide comes in, it comes out, right? It's always coming in. So that part that's sometimes covered and not covered, that's compared to us, the living entities. Meaning that by our choice, we decided to become covered and forget Krishna. And we came under the control, under the influence of the external energy. Everything we see around us. You see? But there are more living entities in the spiritual world who never come here, who are under the control or the influence of the internal energy. That means Srimati Radharani. That means the control of love for Krishna. That's what they want to do. And therefore they don't suffer birth and death. Their bodies, their experience is eternal. So how these energies work, that's a big topic. But Krishna is not just a powerhouse full of all energies, or a sabdim. He's an ocean of rasa. All different, however you want to serve Krishna, he will respond to you. He says in Bhagavad Gita, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Okay, there's so many people who want to forget Krishna. You'll still worship him, but you'll worship him through his external energy. That's also Krishna because it's his, it belongs to him. But you're not going to get any sweet rasa from that material energy. That's all an illusion. Just like the video game. You know, you enter into the video game. I haven't played those in 40 years. And I'm a student of Pac-Man. Does anyone remember Pac-Man? It says history, right? That was my first game. Lasted about 5 minutes. So, but now the games are so realistic, you can lose yourself in the game. And of course, you're not the same schlumpy guy sitting in front of a computer screen. You're some great hero, right, with big muscles, and you can shoot so straight. And so you forget yourself, who you really are. And now you're that, they even call it, don't they, an avatar? You're like an avatar. You've entered. but it's temporary. You know, it's tragically, these young kids get so absorbed in it. I've read, especially in the Far East, where, by the way, the internet is much faster and much cheaper, and the games are even more responsive and realistic. They forget themselves, and they forget to eat and drink, and what to speak of, bathe, and they even expire sometimes right on the keyboard playing that game. Who knows where they go? Yeah, but we're not much different. We're also playing that video game, but our body is the avatar, right? And we're totally convinced that this is who we are. But at a certain point, the body expires. And then all the thoughts and desires and all of these things, that forms our next body, and we stay imprisoned here. So the process of Krishna consciousness simply means to reawaken our awareness of our real self. The soul is not just energy, it's not just consciousness. We have a form, a spiritual form with spiritual senses, spiritual mind, spiritual activities. We don't know what that is, but it's within one of these categories of serving Krishna as a servant, as a friend, as a parent, or as a lover. This is what, by hearing about these pastimes and chanting his names and practicing the principles of self-restraint, because by conditioning, by habit, we're used to trying to enjoy the rasas of this world with inanimate things, with other living beings through the medium of matter, which is so frustrating and impossible to do ultimately. And so life after life we're frustrated. So it takes training, and there's a whole science that's been given down, beginning with Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his students. Rupa Goswami gave us the nectar, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada gave us nectar of devotion. It tells you step by step how to mold your life in such a way as to awaken this awareness of your real self. And the ultimate goal, given in this Amnaya Pratattvam verse, is love of Krishna and return to the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead. So hearing these pastimes, we're in the 10th canto now, that this is the shining face of Krishna. There's so many instances where you'll see how Krishna relates to his devotees. Now, because it's taking place in the material world, there are also negative factors like demons who come to try to kill Krishna. But those are defeated by him. That's another rasa, you know, having danger and calling the Krishna, and Krishna coming and saving you. Oh, that's another thing. You know, just like Indra acting like a demon, try to inundate, flood the whole land. And Krishna saved them by lifting up this hill. They all went under the hill, and for 7 days they're simply watching Krishna. This is a wonderful rasa. That Krishna is the protector. Our wonderful Krishna, who's not God. They don't know that he's God. But some kind of Devi has special powers that are so wonderful, it just increases their love. So this is what Krishna wants to do. And this is what he does in his intimate land of Vrindavan. He churns up this ocean of rasa so that he can experience all varieties of loving exchange with his intimate servants. And that's where we belong. That's where we'll find real happiness. And that's what this movement is all about. And the wonderful thing is it's absolute. You can experience it even when you're here. When the mind is fixed on Krishna in a kirtan, the best way is through his holy name. That's part of the avatar in this age. And we can enter into that. So, there's so much can be said about this. Time is limited. We have this wonderful festival on Laguna Beach today. Hopefully some of you can come. A lot of kirtan, seeing the beautiful Panchatattva deities, excellent prasadam, and many devotees. But before I end, if there's any questions or comments, and then if you allow me, Subhas, a couple of little poems. I have some pictures of Krishna you can bring up now. Go ahead, Prabhu. Yes. You got one? Father, son, huh? Ancient of Days. Is that God? Uh-huh. Okay. We're going to have to discuss it because we're under a clock now. We have to end. Okay. But yeah, I won't be able to answer this now because time is very short. We all have to go to Laguna Beach. Krishna is a big deal. Ultimately, it's Krishna. It's a person. But to understand that is not so easy. I can't tell you in 2 minutes. So we don't have time for the... Oh, there's a picture. Okay, we're going to end with a couple of little poems that I wrote. This one is about Krishna, who is very naughty in stealing butter. And so their friends come and complain about Krishna. This is another rasa. Yashoda's friends approached her and complained about her restless son, the butter thief. Oh friend, this child of yours must be restrained. He simply torments us with no relief. We hope that you will thoroughly chastise this naughty boy who steals and eats our food. But then he looked at them with love-filled eyes, awakening their sweet maternal mood. And so Yashoda and her friends were drowned in waves and whirlpools of maternal love. In all three worlds, no greater love is found. Its home is in Goloka, far above. Time for one more? It'll take 2 minutes. 2 minutes. This is the famous pastime we just had of Yashoda binding Krishna, Damodar Leela. So Krishna broke a pot of butter. He ran away. Finally, she caught him. She wanted to tie him up. And so now she's tying him up to this grinding mortar, which then he pulls down the 2 trees. At last, Yashoda caught her naughty child who'd smashed a pot of yogurt in a peak. Though seemingly annoyed, she felt beguiled by little Krishna's loving charm unique. Oh imp, I've caught you now, but do not fear. You see, I've thrown the stick upon the floor, but I must bind you with this rope, my dear, lest you increase your mischief more and more. And so Yashoda bound a little son, who hid his glory to evoke her love. The blessings she enjoyed are never won by gods and goddesses who dwell above. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari.